This relationship is based on what the employer expects of the employee, what the employer will give to the employee in return for the employer's expectations being fulfilled, what the employee expects of the organization, and what the employee is willing to contribute. See, this is like a contract. It doesn't have to be a legal contract. It can be a psychological contract. All right? It is very, very important that employees and employer being reflected in the work of supervisors, okay, be on the same page, that they be thinking along the same lines. So, you all know about discipline, right? What is discipline about in an organization other than the idea that management has that the employee has violated the terms of the employment contract? See, you have done something as an employee that violates the expectation that I have of you and the obligation that you accepted when you became an employee of this organization. Therefore, I am disciplining you, which is my way of letting you know you have messed up. On the other side of things, we have something called a grievance procedure. A grievance procedure is designed for the employee to be able to tell the employer, you have messed up. You are not living up to the terms of the relationship that I thought we had when I joined. There is, however, another way of making these kinds of decisions and of fulfilling the 4 values. And that is on the basis of who you know. Have you ever heard of this before? Never. No. Who you know. Who you know. Now, if we believe in the value deeply of representation, okay, representation, the will of the people, what is the best way to reflect the will of the people?
Election.
Yeah. Election and, okay, election and. Now, once we elect a group of people, then what powers do we give them?
We mandate them to govern us.
Okay, we elect them to govern us. Now, however, the electors themselves, they don't do the work. The electors themselves...
Passively, maybe. They do the work, but passively.
They do the work passively. They do the work, hopefully, from a higher level, from a policy level, okay? But the work itself is done by bureaucrats, okay? All right? Now the question is, what guarantee do we have if we believe in the value of representation that the bureaucrats will do what the electors have been elected?
Public control.
Huh?
Public control system.
Public control system. Okay, how about this? This is the best public control system we have. We allow the electors to decide who will do the work. The recall. In the United States, it is very common to have a provision at any level of government.
To the president?
The president can be impeached. We talk about
not by the electors.
Not by the by the electors.
By the Senate.
Not by the Senate and the House, but by those who are elected, not by the people. Right? That would be very complicated. And given the number of people, that would be very complicated. But yeah, there is impeachment at that level. At the local level, the level of the municipality or the administrative district, however it is you think of it, it is very common that there will be a provision for a recall of elected officials. That provision often takes the form of if a certain number of citizens, voters, a certain number of people who are registered to vote, if they sign a petition that is says we are dissatisfied with this particular person, we want this person recalled. If there are enough signatures, then there will be a special election to recall the person. And that is not, it's not common, but it happens. In fact, I'm going, I think pretty much in the springtime, we are now committed to going to a jurisdiction where there was a big scandal, and all five of their electors were recalled. Okay, so I'm going in and going to do some work with them. Separation of powers means that there is a very distinct separation between legislative powers, the ability to make the law, executive powers, the ability to execute the law, and judicial powers, the ability to judge the legitimacy of the law. Now, the importance of the separation of powers is that when you talk about a separation of powers, you talk about checks and balances. The separation of powers is designed to make sure that one branch of government cannot impose its will on another. That's what a separation of powers is. This is designed, by design, the motive is to prevent bad things from happening. The problem is, it gets in the way of good things happening. Okay? But this is the design. See, the design, and this is the United States. And as you were telling me, it's here too. See, the design is to make sure that no one branch can accrue enough power to be able to impose its will on the people. So, the Congress, in our case, the legislative body, will enact a law, but Congress cannot implement the law. The executive branch implements the law. When we talk about the bureaucracy, we're talking about the executive branch, and we're talking about the implementation.